friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sarah. I've been away for a long while, and I'm what is going on with my hair? I don't know. I have a piece of hair in my eye, which is part of the problem. I've been away for a while, and this particular YouTube channel has been on my mind a lot. I had a different YouTube channel back in the day that I posted on quite frequently, and life changed, and I don't know, things happened. But anyways, my love for books has just grown since I originally started this channel, and I think about this channel all the time and how I want to get back to it. And when I was writing out my goals for 2024, I was like, I would really love to get back to my booktube channel. So here is a video for you all that I thought that would be fun for you and for me to do, to kind of ease my way back into the booktube world. I'm going to do it quick and dirty. I'm doing it on my iPhone. You're in my office with natural lighting before the sun sets, and I'm not going to do any post-production editing. I'm just going to go through this bookish Q&A that I found on Facebook earlier today by, I'm going to credit the person. It's at Lul's Book Guide. That's a mouthful. It's 25 questions about book crap. Not crap, just like book stuff. It's book stuff. It's quick, it's dirty, and we're going to do it, and we're going to get back online, and hopefully you guys will see a little bit more of me out there in the booktube world on my channel here, currently checked out. My dream would be to get to a point where I start hosting live book sprints. That is like my ultimate, like, cozy activity that I love to do. And it just doing book sprints where you break up like periods of time where you like do silent reading and then you have like some socializing, that works for my brain. Something about that works for my brain. I absolutely adore it. I would love to host them myself, and I think it would be a great time. So if you're interested in that, please stick around. And now we're gonna hop into the bookish Q&A. Okay, you guys, I'm looking for the books as I am going through this, but the first book is what are you currently, or the first book, oh my gosh, the first question is what are you currently reading? And this is the book I'm currently reading. This is the original indie cover copy, which I think are top tier, of the Daisy Hates. It's the fourth book in the Magnolia Parks universe series. Daisy Hates the Great Undoing. If you're not familiar with Magnolia Parks, it's like rich people and rich people problems. It starts out with the first Magnolia Parks book. Then there's a Daisy Hates book, which is told from each of their points of view on the same timeline. So you read Magnolia's, then you read Daisy's point of view. They're following different things, but you get crossover characters in both. So you get to see them from different perspectives during the same time. So you've got Magnolia Parks 1, Daisy Hates 1, Magnolia Parks 2, which is Magnolia Parks and the Long Way Home. And then you have this one, which is the Daisy Hates and the Great Undoing, which is Daisy Hates 2. And then last week, Magnolia Parks 3, which is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark, was released, which is the fifth book in the series, if this isn't confusing enough. Anyhow, this is what I'm reading. It's the fourth book. It's like a train wreck. Like, you can't stop reading it once you start. The chapters are very short. You get to see a lot of different perspectives. It's highly toxic, highly like too much money, and like so many problems that like shouldn't really be problems, but they are. It's a fun escape. That's what I'm reading now. And I lost my questionnaire. Hello. Okay, the last book I read was a book called Bet on It by Jody Slaughter. I got this at Half Price Books. This was on my list. This is about a girl named Asia and a man named Walker. They are in this small southern town for various reasons. I think Asia recently relocated there, doesn't have a lot of friends, has some anxiety and things like that. They don't really like get her out very much, but she does go to this like VFW bingo hall, and she sits next to this older woman who has an injury, and so her grandson Walker comes like back to town to care for her, which includes him like caring for her and taking her to bingo and helping her with her bingo cards. Walker ends up sitting next to Asia because Asia sits next to the grandmother every week. Walker and Asia have a connection that they start forming, and then they make a bingo sex pact. it was a good escape. It's not like the best book I ever read, but it was a fun time. I did like pair this with audio as well. So like I would be like folding laundry and doing the dishes and cleaning my house. And I kind of just let go and let this one take it, the course that it was going to take. And it was fun. So that's the last book I read. All-time favorite book or series. So I have a top 3 here. The Light We Lost by Jill Santopolo has been one of my favorites for 5-6 years. I also really love The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Like one of my, like, this might be the top book of life. I don't know. And I also really, really love this book, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This book was so hyped. These 2 books were very hyped, and either you love them or you hate them. This book, super slow burn, but if you can get to like 150-ish pages in and hang in there, everything just starts to like take shape. And I personally really adored this book. This book is probably the sweet spot for my demographic. This follows like some not millennials, they're probably more like Gen X. I'm like in that weird like Zennial Oregon Trail generation where we had internet but we didn't have internet. It kind of follows that timeline like in the 90s and into the early 2000s, and it spans like 20 some years, and it follows these friends that meet in college and they create like video games. They're video game designers. And that sounds intimidating probably to somebody that's not in design or technology or whatever, like in real life. I happen to be like adjacent to those fields in real life, so that was intriguing to me. But it's written in a way where it's like so easy to consume, and the found families in here are just fantastic. It's also blurbed on here somewhere. It says it's a love story, but it's not a love story. That's a kind of a weird thing to read, but when you read this, you'll know exactly what I mean. I absolutely love this book. I know people like, it was kind of like polarizing in that way. People loved it or they didn't, but I did. So those are my favorites. A fictional place I'd like to visit. I don't particularly have one. I read a lot of contemporary, so most of the places that I read about are places that I could visit in real life. So that's a boring answer. I'm sorry, but I don't have one. A one true pair that I love. So probably cliche, but like the 2 characters in The Hating Game. I can't think of their names right now, but I think that they were fantastic. I also loved Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I thought that was cute and a really like easy, fun read. And I really liked that pairing as well. So those 2 books come to mind for that. My fictional boyfriend would be, let's see, where is the book? Oh, here it is. So my fictional boyfriend would be Dean De Laurentiis from The Score. This is by Elle Kennedy. It is the 3rd book in the Off-Campus series, which is a hockey romance that follows 4 hockey players from Briar University and their relationships and escapades. Dean is like the bad boy and just he's a good time. He's a real good time, and he is my fictional boyfriend. Favorite book cover owned. I don't know. I will tell you that I just love The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue so much, and I loved this version of the paperback cover so much that I like was hunting it down. Like, I have to have this. So this is my latest book cover that I really like got because I already had 2 copies of this book. I didn't need this, but this is the last one that really got me. Last disappointing read. I recently finished The List by Yomi Adigoki. This is a Good Morning America book club pick. I really thought this premise was cool. You follow a main female character, Alla, and her fiance, very soon to be husband, Michael. And Alla is a columnist for an online blog that is like highly feminist, like geared. And then you've got Michael, who's in like TV and film, and he's part of like the who's who. Like he's kind of like an A-list, B-list celebrity, but very, very well known in the industry. And one day on Twitter, somebody uploads like some random Excel sheet of a list of famous men in the industry, TV, film, radio, whatever, music. And it's like a who's who of like problematic men. And her fiance's name is on the list. And it's like, these men are abusive or XYZ, whatever it is. And he's on the list, and they're trying to navigate their like impending like wedding that's about to happen shortly thereafter, and how they handle this, how this puts their life like in disarray, and what happens to all of their friends and family because of this, and like how they navigate that. The concept sounded amazing. I was just so mad, and maybe that was the point of the, I mean, it wasn't that the book wasn't done well. I was just angry at the story. I didn't like any character, so it was like, it was disappointing in that way. Like I just couldn't, I was pissed the whole time I was reading this book. So I'll say that. A trope I love to see is grumpy sunshine, and a trope that I can't stand is, I mean, I don't really love accidental pregnancy. It's kind of like whatever. So that's my answer for that. My favorite main character. Last year I read You Again by Kate Goldbeck. I loved Ari's character. I freaking loved Ari's character. This is a When Harry Met Sally modern retelling. Ari and Josh are dating the same woman, and they don't like each other. They're enemies. But they keep running into each other, and they can't stop running into each other. And they kind of become friends. They're like frenemies. And then it like goes on from there. I really loved Ari's perspective in this book because she just felt so real. Like she's a mess. She's a mess. She's messing up. She's making weird choices. She knows that's not really like what she wants to do, but she's also owning it. Like I really liked the representation that she brought to the table of like, nobody's like, I very much dislike this whole like idea of perfectionism and like trying to achieve that and like keeping up with the Joneses thing. Like Ari was everything that's not that. Josh, on the other hand, has a couple of like perfectionist things about him, which makes them kind of opposite in nature. But I really loved Ari's character in this. She was fun to read. She was relatable because she wasn't perfect. Something else that I thought was very interesting about this book is that not only do they show people like out at a bar and having a drink, but they also show them like partaking in marijuana, and like, you know, just it felt so real that I really, really loved this book. And if you like descriptions of food or cooking or anything, this also has a lot of that in there. That's not necessarily what I'm drawn to, but this was done so well that I like escaped in it. It was so fun. So I like that main character a lot. A fictional character that reminds me of myself. So I read, who's the main character in here? Layla. This is Heard It in a Love Song by Tracy Garvis Graves. Layla recently has been divorced, and she's trying to navigate a new life post-divorce. Hi, I've been divorced, and I've had to do that myself, probably why this was very relatable to me. But Layla is going through a divorce and navigating that, and then had a date like after divorce. I read this like at the right time in my life. Like it was like aligned with everything that was happening, but felt very relatable to me. So that's my answer for that. Let's see. A highly anticipated book or series release. So last year I read The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. This was such a fun time. One night stand / Tinder matchup. They make a love wager where they like bet on like who's gonna like fall in love first, and there's some like wagering to it. I don't know, it's been a while since I've read this. I just had such a fun time. I could not put this down. I think I read it in a day. Really fell in love with Lynn Painter's writing. It was so easy and such a like, I was like laughing and kicking my feet and just like really having a fun time with this. She's got a new book coming out next month called Happily Never After, which is about a man and a woman who are hired as objectors. So they get hired as objectors to attend weddings and object to the wedding in the middle of the ceremony. I think that sounds freaking hilarious, and that's on my list of anticipated books coming up. A novel on my TBR. There's another question here about like recent books I've hauled. So I'm just going to combine those right now for ease of this questionnaire. But these are 3 books that I've received recently. I got this in a book subscription box. This is Allie Hazelwood's latest romance, and it's paranormal romance. It's called Bride, and it's dealing with a female vampire and a male werewolf. I was going to skip this because this does not sound like my jam at all. Really, I don't know. I've read Twilight and I liked that back in the day. Don't judge me, but like I read it back in the height of the whole thing, and that was a good time. So I guess maybe I could see myself getting on board with this. I guess I just am more into the contemporary type stuff. So when I think of Allie Hazelwood and like the STEMinist, I wasn't going to go here. I was going to pass this one up, but this was sent to me and it's getting like highly reviewed. And so I might give this a try. Additionally, I picked up this like, I think psychological thriller. Don't know much about it. It's called The Guest by Emma Cline. I think a man and a woman are sort of having relations. They go to a dinner party together. The woman makes some sort of like faux pas, misstep, and is dismissed from the dinner as a guest. And then it like follows like what happens next. And it sounds like it's kind of spooky, scary. I don't know what happens. Again, psychological, thrillery, whatever. So I'm excited for that. And then I picked up Cleopatra and Frankenstein from Barnes & Noble by Coco Mellors or Mellors. I'm not exactly sure. It follows Cleo and Frank and their relationship, which I think is like not perfect. Not that anybody's is perfect, let's be real. But I think it's like they've got some ish going on. And it's kind of a slice of life, like insight into like a real situation that isn't like rainbows, roses, and unicorns. It seems like it might not be a happy book. It might be like kind of like, as you can imagine, like with the picture here, like doesn't look super happy. We'll see. I don't know a lot about it. So those are recent books that I've read and novels that are on my TBR, or not recent books I've read, recent books I've hauled and novels that are on my TBR. Comfort read character. I mean, I could read, any of my favorite books again, The Light We Lost, Tomorrow, and Addie LaRue for sure. I would consider those all like my comfort read go-tos. My favorite side character, I don't have one. Not that I can think of. That would take me a while to like kind of, I don't know. Nothing comes to mind at all right now for favorite side character. Favorite book or to movie adaptation. So I had to think about this a really long time because I think there's so many terrible adaptations that was easy enough to like figure out. But these 2 stuck out to me, and they're kind of old at this point. But Carolyn Kempness's You, when that was adapted to, it was Lifetime. At the time that I got this book, it was a Lifetime series, but it then moved to Netflix, which is where I think it lives now. That first season and this book were like everything at the time. And I think this was really freaking great. Joe, the character Joe, is like an anti-hero that you are like, you shouldn't be cheering for him, but you kind of are. And he's like the worst, but also like you can't stop like rooting for him to like get what he wants. I don't know. That was a good time. Subsequent, like the novels and the TV series kind of like definitely split, but the TV series ended up like passing up the book release schedule. So it went like completely on its own direction. That's all I can say for that. I mean, first book, this book and the first season, I would give a thumbs up to. If you haven't for some reason seen or read either of these, I would recommend both of them. And even the audiobook is fantastic. The other one that comes to mind, again, is a bit old too. I don't even know when this is. This would have been like 2014. So Leanne Moriarty's Big Little Lies. I'm going to, like, hot take maybe, I don't know. Maybe this is like the majority group thought on this. I'm not sure. I think the HBO series that Nicole Kidman, Reese Witherspoon, who else was in it? what's her name? Shailene Woodley. Is that her name? I can't think of it right now. And Laura Dean's in it. Like there's a lot of people. Sarsgaard, what's his name? Alexander Sarsgaard. A lot of people in the HBO series in this book. Like the HBO series, probably better than the book, honestly. So the first season follows this book. The second season goes beyond this book. Like there's no sequel to this book, but like they just went on and like built in another storyline for the second season. Fan freaking tastic. Zoe Kravitz, she's in that series too. I like it more than I like the book, honestly. And the book was fun. It was like a good time, but like the HBO series, I would even watch again. Like, and I think they've actually agreed to do a third season now. So that's very exciting as well. So for some reason you missed that, I would go back and catch up with that. Villain I love to hate. Last year I read Adelaide. Rory, the love interest, is a piece of garbage, and I was so mad at this book. Like I gave this a 5-star at the end of the day for a couple of reasons, which you'll come to I don't want to spoil anything, so I don't want to say anything, but like I was so freaking mad. The majority, like 75% of this book, I was like pissed, freaking pissed. But it, like, in a way where it was like, I obviously, like, it invoked like such a strong feeling in me that it was just written so well. I don't know. Rory, though, this guy sucks, and so I will forever not like that character. My favorite reading spot is my bed. My latest book haul I already showed you. My longest book read, I don't know. Like I have Fourth Wing that I finished last year. Iron Flame is on my list now. That's pretty long. I hate that I'm talking about like Twilight so much, but like those books are quite chunky. Like I don't know. I don't really have like super huge books that I read. They're so intimidating to me. I'm not a real big fantasy or sci-fi girl, so I don't get those like really, really fat books. Although romance has kind of gotten like real bizarre with their length of the books. I think that's kind of like a Kindle Unlimited, like click per page effect, but it's just my personal opinion on that one. So I guess the shortest book I read, I just read 6 novellas that were recently released on Audible/Kindle called The Improbable Meet Cute. So it's like Christina Lauren, Abby Jimenez, Sally Thorne, Jasmine Guillory, who else? I don't know. There's a handful of like 6 authors who came up with these like romance novellas that all happen on Valentine's Day. I think they're about 40 pages each. Super easy to read. Oh, Ashley Poston did one in that list too, and somebody else, Soraya Wilson. Those books are fun because they're like standalones, but each book has a character from another one of the books that shows up in them. So that's kind of a fun little Easter egg, but 40 pages each. That was a good time. And what's my book goal for the year? That's the last question. So my book goal officially is to read 50 books this year. I read 50 books last year. I know my reading style very well at this point. I am a huge mood reader. I will not read to reach a goal, because if I am reading just to get my number or a badge on my like social media, it becomes not fun for me. So I will read 50 as long as it's aligned with like me having a good time. And I would love to get to 52 just so I can say that I read a book a week for 2024. And if I go under that, that's fine. If I go over that, even better. So those are my book goals. I keep them kind of loose, and like I don't do like book goals beyond that. Like I want to read this many nonfiction or this many of this or that. I don't do that. It gets too complicated. I just read what feels good. So that's it. That's it. Those are the answers to my Bookish Q&A that I wanted to do with you today. I hope you found this fun. I hope this makes its way to the internet for real this time, because every time I tried to film, my phone died, or I don't know. Life is just life. Anyways, I would love to see more of you. Please comment below and say hello, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.